Hi, Helen. Jeff.
How we doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. You?
Yeah, a little under the weather.
I'm sorry.
Happens.
Yeah, it does. It's annoying when it does, though.
It is. Graham, you use a bamboo printer, don't you?
I do.
I was doing Alan's STL files for like the crystal thing.
Yes.
It's not doing well. I've got it. I loaded the Prusa slicer and was able to separate parts. What I
Can
can
you
only
just,
get.
Alan? Can you just stop a second? Alistair, could you? He has. Thank you. I'm sorry, Alan. I couldn't hear very well.
Oh, that's okay. I did the Prusa slicer and got it to come out in the layers, but I can only
Yes.
get the base to print. Nothing else will print. It comes out with corrupted files. So I've been researching that.
So did Alan release STL files in the end? So I didn't look at them.
Yes, yes, he did.
Ah,
They're on the
that's
blog,
strange.
but the STI files are his Prusa,
Yes.
and you can get them to go through. Uh, Everything I print prints in one solid piece. Quite a mess, actually. It's
Well, that's
cute.
interesting. So that I can, yeah. So I can
Comes out
understand.
like that.
And that was an STL file. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. I can get the base proper to print,
Oh, gosh.
but the
Um,
other files won't yet.
yeah. I'm not sure I can answer the question. I don't really know.
Yeah. I didn't know if you'd had anything come up like that. Now, the
No,
other part, even though it came out as a single piece for the microscope, I just cut the pieces apart. It wasn't nothing melodramatic. So I have usable pieces.
yeah. So it sounds like when Alan has rendered the STL files, it's rendered as a complete object and not as individual pieces.
It shows it has parts, but I can't get it to access the parts individually.
Sure.
This is the first project I've ever done,
Yeah.
although I've had the printer for a while. I just haven't had a chance to play with it yet. So I'm
Okay.
like a newbie. So it's been fun
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon, whatever.
Hello,
How are you
Bud.
doing?
I'm doing well. Yourselves?
I'm here.
Hi, Klaus.
Hello.
Klaus, while you're there, do you know about the H99 Pro that's come out as a power supply for the Surrey lights?
No, which is this a
It's
battery?
it's a new battery, cheap, runs for 3/4 of an hour. H99 Pro. If you Google it, just I found it. I just thought you might like to know.
Is it a 15 volt or 14.8?
No, it's a larger voltage. It'll supply the full 100 watts as long as you buy the H99 Pro, not the H90. So it's
Okay.
H99 Pro.
I thought
Sorry,
the 99 might refer to the watt hours, being the limit
uh,
or
I can't remember what the watt hours is offhand. I've got mixed up between the two specs.
but yeah, I'll check it out. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Good
Morning,
morning.
Alan.
morning.
How is everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Bud, you awake? Oh, you're muted. Klaus, how were the islands?
Yeah, they were very nice. Thank you. We're
Alan, your image is
back again in
flickering.
about a month.
Sorry, interrupt. Your image was flickering all over the shop, Alan.
Was it?
Yeah, it is now. For me.
Am I flickering for everybody?
No.
No.
then
It's
don't
the
worry about it.
UK's fault, I think.
How strange.
It must be something on your end, Graham.
All the rest of the images are static. Just yours was flickering, which is
Yeah,
weird.
yours-
But anyway,
Yeah,
don't worry.
It's a little dark. That might be causing you some problems, Graham. His room is a little darker than usual.
No, I was getting frame flicker, so that it
Hmm.
indicates an electrical problem rather than.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm using
They're
my,
taking your electricity from for Heathrow.
It's the 50 hertz versus 60 hertz.
You might
Well,
be
They're
print.
attacking your undersea cable.
that's
Yeah,
what
I
it is.
know. Don't mention it. It's static now, Alan. It looks good.
Okay, good.
No, flickering again. But anyway,
It's
forget
when
it.
I talk.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me, Alan?
Loud and clear, bud.
Okay, good.
Bud, before we jump in, what we're doing today, by the way, guys, is we're just going to take your pictures and discuss them, work through them. If you have any that you'd like us to look at, please just let me know, and we'll take them from you without going through Google. I'll see if any have been put in the Google Drive, which I believe somebody said they would. So let me see if they're there. Bud, do you have anything you wanted to say before we get started?
No,
About
I just
this or
I looked
anything?
for pictures in the drive and I saw a couple that said diffusion, so that's all I've seen. So
Ah, yeah. Okay. That's the ones you were telling me about last night. I see those. These are from David, and he had asked me to take a look at these, and I mean from John. Sorry, from John D. He wanted me to take a look at these, and I told him probably the best place to get that done quickly would be to bring them over here to AfterStack. So I'm sure David's here or will be here, and we can look at those pictures together in a little bit. Susan was going to drop a picture in. I don't know if she was unable to. Is Susan here? I don't think so. Okay, does any? I have a couple of pictures I can drop in. I've been busy this morning getting my slide sets ready for my Florida talks next week, and I've come across a lot of really horrible pictures.
Oh dear.
Well, it's yeah, when you look far enough back, you tend to come across some really shocking ones. And
Alan,
I have a lot. Yes.
Alan, sorry to interrupt, but before we start on the real project, does everyone know about the new select subject in Photoshop, in the Photoshop beta section? They're now using AI generated subject selection, and it looks really good actually for some subjects. You have to go into your preferences in Photoshop beta, and where it says select subject, make sure it's set to the cloud rather than on the computer. And some of it's really good, worth looking at.
Yeah,
Some-
it works
subjects-
pretty good.
Yeah, you tried it, Julie?
Yeah.
It's under what in the preferences?
You select in the cloud versus using the cloud to process the selection.
Right, but
Something
which grouping is it under in the?
When you do select subject on the top ribbon, it'll.
No, I mean in the preferences. The what Graham's talking about.
It could be performance or something like that. It's right at the top on one of them.
Got it.
Yeah.
I see performance. Yep.
Well, I'm not sure if it is. I haven't got it open in front of me. I'm on a different machine, so.
Okay, multi-threading.
I found it really easily.
Yeah, yeah. Because even if you could flip it in the actual ribbon up on the top to cloud.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Bud, are you familiar with the new tool?
I am not.
Graham, do you want to show us a little bit about what it does?
I can't tell you. So I haven't got Photoshop on this machine I'm working on now.
Oh, okay.
But all I can say is I've seen some images done with regular subjects, AI type subjects that would recognize bicycles or something like that, or what have you, and it picks out every spoke, and it's brilliant. Some things I suspect if we throw it an insect, it won't make any difference, but we don't.
Well,
I don't know.
Let's try it.
Yeah. Can someone else find it? The
Yeah, I'm going to open a picture and I'll find it and change it over to that setting, and we'll see what it does.
Yeah, it has to be in the beta program. It
Yep,
hasn't gotten
that's
over,
all I use.
yeah, it hasn't gotten over to the regular Photoshop yet.
Okay, I'm just finding a picture.
I
Let's
used
give
it
it
on some crystals, and it did pretty good on the jaggy edges on the crystal.
Let's see what it does on some jaggy edges on this. Let me just share. It's time to update. That's every 15 minutes. If you don't update, it will remind you.
Yeah.
All right. So let's put it on a selection tool, and
Well, you could even use the bar at the bottom for select subject. And
okay. And is this going to be here?
no, you select, if you do a select subject, then it'll give you the thing at the top to process in the cloud. Then where it says, yeah, cloud, yeah.
Okay. It is now set to the cloud.
Okay, you got your selection now. And if you make a mask, you should see a very clean mask.
Let's see.
The selection was already set before he changed it to cloud.
Okay. Well,
You got to deselect and reselect.
just out of interest, I found how you change it. It's
okay.
Edit preferences, image processing, and then you choose cloud as a default processing method. That means you don't have to keep switching between the
Right
two.
there, yeah.
Okay, device and cloud. Done. Okay, so we are now in the cloud, and we'll select them again. I went back to the beginning.
Alan,
Yep.
you have to restart Photoshop to get that cloud to work.
I'm a little stressed
You have to start again, you say?
Yeah,
I mean,
you've got to
restart.
restart.
Okay. That's not a problem.
I'm going to put 30 minutes on the clock.
It will be
So your time starts now.
just a second. And let me go back to my first question that I asked. Bud, do you have anything that you wanted to address while I'm restarting Photoshop?
I'm gonna elevate the stacked bacon.
No, I'm looking into a rabbit hole using monochromatic light. I don't know whether any of you guys have done anything like that. But basically, in the world of microscopy, all these little things like diatoms are made out of essentially glass, silicone, and they act like prisms. So you end up with all these colors, making it impossible to stack. And on photomicrography, there are a couple of guys that decided to use monochromatic light. So they use a filter near infrared at 450 nanometers. And so basically it's a black and white image, and much, much higher resolution than you would get otherwise. So I got my filter yesterday. I built the adapter to get it going, and I haven't taken a picture as yet because
Interesting.
today. So I also found a filter on eBay, which is a UV bandpass. If you go to Edmunds, they cost $350, and they had several there used for $12. So if anybody's interested in playing that game, I just happen to have a full spectrum modified camera, so I should be able to capture UV or near UV with that camera, and that's the game I'm playing with currently. So
interesting.
Yeah, my filters are too big to put into my trinocular tube on my microscope, but that sounds interesting.
These are 25 millimeters, some of them are even 20 millimeters, so they're quite small.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm glad you said that, Bud. I want to show you guys something. I'll tell you what, I'll do it after we've done this picture, but don't let me forget. the new thing I need to show you. It just arrived yesterday. I'm excited about it. Let's go ahead and share and we'll see how this thing does. Okay. So we're back open and we got the same bug, and we're going to do select subject. And we're in the cloud now. We've changed the preferences. So, all right, let's see what.
That's still changed at the top, Alan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me make sure it did. Yep, it's in the cloud, so it's stuck there now. We'll make. I forgot to make a copy, but we'll just make a copy of the selection and see what we've got. Okay.
Whoa.
That looks terrible. Yeah, is this consistent with what you guys have been seeing, or
Yeah, it's
I think the problem is that the AI probably doesn't know what an insect is. So
Yeah.
you're relying on the fact that the AI is going to recognize the subject enough to cut it out. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree. That's what I was saying about in the photogrammetry discussion the other day, that the AI tools are going to have to learn what this fine detail that we're trying to preserve in these images of small insects, and it's not there yet. So let me pick a picture that doesn't have insect hairs in
Hey,
it.
Graham, is this only available in the latest beta upgrade?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like Alan hasn't upgraded that latest one yet.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
Oh no, this is was updated 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Oh, okay, should be okay then, because the YouTube's about it came out later this week.
Yeah, it's certainly not not that old. I'm just looking for a non-insect thing, which is going to be hard to find on my computer. Let me look at my live stream covers and see if there's anything in there that. How about camera lenses? There's going to be something in here. Where do all these insects come from, I wonder? Okay, let me try something else. So who has been using this so far besides Graham?
I played with it just a little bit this week.
And what was your impression?
It worked pretty good on, like I said, on the crystals. So I'm trying to think if I did anything. I was going to use it on one of my astro pictures because masking the foreground from the sky is always a pain, but I hadn't gotten to it yet.
Well, that's the kind of thing certainly that I would be interested in seeing how it can do. What about human hair? Has anybody tried it on that? I know what I'll do. I'll just get something. Forgive me for doing all of this hunting around. I'm just looking for something with edges. All right. Well, I'll tell you what.
So that would work.
Ferris wheel.
That Ferris wheel would be an interesting one.
The what?
The Ferris wheel that you just had up.
The Ferris wheel. Yes, I can get that one. This is Edinburgh Castle. I wonder if we won't brighten it up. We'll just leave it right the way it is. And this time I will make a copy. And let's select the subject.
It missed the rocks.
Yeah, you could argue that that's not part of the subject, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of is. It's built on the rocks. Well, let's take a closer look. Looks a bit precarious like that. Well, it did quite a good job up here, didn't it?
Yeah.
Awfully dark picture, but you think the Ferris wheel would be a...
Well, I should be able to pick up the spokes on that.
Well, we'll just take a quick look then at that. I think I can remember roughly where that was.
If it does work, Alan, it might be worth making a copy and just trying it with the old method and just seeing what the difference is.
Good idea. Well, I don't want to take up too much of our time. Would everybody agree that that's the subject in this image?
I would agree.
Let's see what it does with a mushroom.
Should pick it out, yep.
Pretty nice. Pretty good selection, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, seems to just be gradually getting better and better, though it would still need edge refinement, wouldn't it? Okay. Bud, do you want to jump into anything in particular picture-wise, or shall we? Susan is here now. I'll ask Susan. Did you have a picture you were going to leave with us?
I think she's muted. Yeah, there we go.
I put it in your Google Drive.
Okay.
I couldn't find it.
Didn't see it in there. Maybe it ended up in a different folder because we have another folder there, and that might be where it is. I'll look for that. Why don't we take a look while I'm doing that? Take a look at John's images. John, do you want to tell us about what these images, what you were doing here?
Yeah, sure. This is my test of some diffusion layers. I pulled some diffusion panel sheeting from an old Insignia flat screen TV, about 15 years old, doubled it up twice, used some masking tape, and cut a hole for my subject. So basically I'm shooting with flash, 2 different flashes through 2 different layers of flat screen TV diffusion layers. And this was a test that I'm doing with really shiny subjects. So to try to simulate if I was shooting an insect, I guess you should say.
Okay. And you know, strictly speaking, then this wouldn't be a particularly a post-production challenge, but we'll look at it from both angles.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
From the adequacy of the diffusion, and then what we'd do for any failure to get the diffusion you want. I just downloaded them, so let me see if I can open. I'm not sharing, am I? Let me go back to sharing while I open these. Bud, do you want to grab these out of there as well in case there's anything you want to demonstrate? So I've got them downloaded. We'll open that in the beta. And we'll convert it to my working color space. Okay. So single focus plane image.
Yeah, correct.
With
Yep.
How many lights?
2 flash.
2 flash. What were your flash settings? Do you remember?
I think there were 136.
And you were shooting almost wide open.
I was shooting at f5.6 on a 2 times macro lens.
Okay. As the focus is a little deep to the front of the face and very, very shallow, so that's consistent with what you were doing.
Right.
It looks what does it look like to you? It looks dark to me.
What does it look like to me?
Yeah.
Well, I had a piece of paper on the underside to reflect a little bit of light, but I have better reflective material that I want to also test that came out of the TV because it has reflective material and material for diffusion So I think it does look a little dark. I think it could use one more flash
Or a little more
reflection from
power.
the underside too.
Be careful with that reflective stuff in the TV.
Yeah.
Some of it's dichroic, I think.
Dichroic. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they put in those LED panels, but I know that some of that material is not completely reflective.
Well, it's a white sheet, so it's just a completely white reflective sheet that they put on the backside of the light. So it reflects light.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay. Okay, so from a lighting standpoint, I'd say other than being a little underexposed, you don't have any specularity, and it looks like you got the light fairly uniform. I'd say your diffusion here was quite adequate. 2 layers, you said?
Yeah, 2 layers of diffusion. It's like a tunnel.
Yep. Yep. I saw your setup. That was
Yeah.
that was a nice setup. You had the caps on the flash and a tunnel over the top, right? Okay, well, let's look at number 2 and see if we got the same. I don't know if the other one downloaded. I don't think it did. Let me go back to Google Drive and find it. All right, Pete, somebody grab a picture and put it in here so that we can get to work on it. Yes, bud.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell whether you hear me or not.
Couldn't hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask about the Indian picture. Is that just a test for reflection, or were you trying to get shadows or something? It looks like both of your lights are uniform, same power, and probably in front of the subject. Is that right?
They were over top of the subject at different angles.
Okay. If you're trying, were you trying to get more detail out of it?
Yeah.
Then you have to have lights at different power, right? To create a shadow.
That's possible.
So one acts as a fill light and the other is your primary light. Isn't that right, Alan?
Yeah, you're certainly going to get, if your light is uniform, I think you're going to get a much better idea of whether or not your diffusion is adequate. So I certainly agree with that, the setup for that question. But if you're trying to pull detail out of the subject's face, for example, I certainly would use directional lighting to do that, as you suggest. But yeah, I think from the standpoint of seeing whether or not you had adequate diffusion, I think this is fine. And let's see what this one looks like. Okay. Same settings, apparently.
Same settings.
Can you open a histogram, Alan?
Yep, sure can. Sure can't, apparently. Where is it?
Up under window at the top will get it to you.
Yep. There it is. There it is. Okay.
You hit that little triangle so it updates.
Let me make a bit of room for it. No.
So the histogram would indicate you don't have anything hitting the right wall. So apparently there's no blowouts.
Okay.
If you want to know, you can use the info panel. Do you know how to do that?
What info panel?
If you go into the same window at the top and open the info panel, up at the top window.
Oh, yeah.
Info panel. And then you can hover over different places to actually measure.
Yeah.
I don't see it. There's the info panel below the histogram.
Yeah.
So if you click on that and then you go right over the brightest area that you see, I usually use grayscale. It's just easier because you can see what your numbers are.
Yeah, they're changing down there now. What do you think about these spots on the face? This, as you know, this is a diffusion test after all.
Yep.
I think it's fine. None of the bright spots are excessively bright, and you chose a tough subject.
Yeah.
That would reflect just like a beetle, but like as Bud says, you don't have any clipping anywhere.
That could be improved, couldn't it, with a little bit of highlight work in Camera Raw? Just
Yeah,
drag the
absolutely.
highlights down, and it would
Down.
improve that a lot, I think.
Yep, that's exactly what my first step would be in the general panel, just to pull the highlights down just a bit, even in a high key photograph like this.
So Alan, if you'll take that first thing over in the info panel and turn it to grayscale, just click on the eyedropper and drop down menu, grayscale. And now if you go over that bright point, so you see that, where everything is, you're 8-bit, which is fine. So if you go over the eye, you see how the black is at 90% K.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go over a bright white spot, the brightest spot you can find, you'll see that you're still 16% off of the brightest white.
Yeah. Yeah, as you can clearly see from the histogram too. You've got some room at the top there. So I'd say spot on, John.
Great.
I mean, I think you've got adequate diffusion there, and certainly, that's largely going to be a static application. You're not going to want to change that too much. You can change your light intensity and get get the illumination you're looking for, and you'll probably be fine up to fairly high powers on those flashes. Like you were using the little ones, right? The TT 150s.
350. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think we'll belabor the point on this, Bud. If
No.
unless you have something else you want to
No,
add.
I just my comment on the little reflections on the cheek is to, if you take those away, then you lose the characteristic of
Yeah.
the plastic face. It becomes real flat.
Yep. Absolutely. I wouldn't take them away because I mean they have detail in them. I mean they're
not blown out.
Nope.
But what you could do, what you can do, you've got control. As long as you've got some of those highlights, you can use the highlight slider to diminish them if you wish, and then increase the overall exposure. So it gives you control of the brightness of those highlights very quickly.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. That there's plenty of opportunity to just change the emphasis on the highlights ever so slightly. And you can always balance that out by brightening the overall white, moving the white point just a little bit. But yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments on this one, guys?
Alan, I was just thinking with the adjustments, the highlights, midtones, and shadows mask should have something to grab hold of with this, with this, when you get something this or similar, John, if you were playing around with it, to sort of get used to the adjustments, I would see, the main thing with the highlights is the picking that up to do a mask. It's going to give it something to, to get hold of, which you can then adjust in isolation to what you want. And similarly, midtones and shadows looks to, be a good one from this lighting.
There's an easier way in the color grading. If you could open that one, Alan. And then if you choose midtones.
Hang on, let me go back to Oh, double click doesn't reset.
I suppose. No,
It's option.
you have to be on the triangle in Camera Raw. Have to be on the slider to double.
Oh. That's too much like work.
I know. So if you choose the gray, the middle one, up at the top, you have to select it.
Yeah.
And then you use the luminosity slider. You're dealing with the midtones and you protecting the highlights. So you can go darker, lighter, whatever you want to do. And then you can go to the highlights and control those highlights all in that one space. So if you back down the luminance there, you'll see you can control it pretty nicely. Just a different way of doing it. Then you can pull up the darks like Alan was doing. Or take down the darks.
Does it make any difference that it's in 8-bit versus 16-bit?
You get a smoother product with the 16-bit. You don't get any banding.
Less posterization. Okay. All right. Thank you, John, for
Thank you, guys.
We ought to say that I think that if it was a raw image rather than a JPEG, which I think it is, forgive me if it's not, then you get more control over those highlights.
Right. Yeah, I uploaded the
I wondered why it was it didn't appear to be given a whole lot of action there on the highlight slider. I didn't notice it was why did it open in Camera Raw if it's a JPEG? Interesting. I wouldn't have expected it to give me those options. Okay, well, there you go.
Next time I can input raw files if that's
yeah, it's always going to be best to put a TIFF or a raw file in for this particular group because we are going to be editing the pictures.
Okay.
Alan and Bad.
Yes.
I put 2 insects on the shared drive. You may want to try and edit one of them. Just
there
thought
you
would
go.
have something to work with.
Let's go see the shared drive here.
There you go. Great. I'm so glad that this is working out as far as a way for us to share these images. This is good. Interesting challenge. Let's download both of these. Bud, are you going to download them too?
In progress already.
Excellent. All righty, we got one of them in process.
Jesus.
I guess that one already downloaded. Yeah, it did. And this one. Okay. Bud, why don't you open it there? Because I'm having a hard time getting it to open for some reason.
Yeah, I'm still downloading. I'll do it in 1 second.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it's doing to me. I'm going to go back to the drive and we'll try it again.
Yeah, it's funny. It's not letting me open it with Photoshop. Let me try that again. Oh, I see why. Okay, it's doing that thing. I don't know if any of your computers do this, but it doesn't matter what I tell the computer to do. It opens it in Topaz every time. Drives me nuts.
And that's when you just double click in Finder, is it, Alan?
Yeah, yeah. If I just double click it to open it like you would expect it to open in Preview, it opens in Topaz.
Maybe it's a CR3 and you guys only use Nikon?
There you go. That might be part of the issue. That should be easy to convert though, right?
Yeah, just set it over.
Just import it into Lightroom. That's why it's not giving me the option to open it. But if I open with preview and then import into Lightroom, that's what I'll do. So I'll open Lightroom, start an import dialog, go to my downloads folder and pick both these pictures and I'll import them. That's
Canon
doing
users don't feel discriminated against.
I don't, yeah, it's nothing personal. No, I've got the spinning orb of death on mine. I think that would be the solution as soon as my computer stops. There we go. Bud, you having any luck?
Bud, we lost your sound, Bud.
Alan, could you put the Google Drive, your Google Drive address in the chat, please?
I will do so right this moment. The
I'm having some problems with I've got it up in my drive, but
oh, okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Hear you now. The link is in chat to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There it is again. And Bud, the way that I opened it was to open Lightroom and import it from your downloads folder, and it allows you to get it into Photoshop that way.
All right. It'll take me a second.
Yeah, it took Lightroom just a minute to figure out that I was feeding it a CR3 file.
Alan,
In
if
fact-
you at some point, if you wanted to head this off for the future, now you've got a CR3 file, you could get Topaz off the open list with it and set it up for one of the others.
Yeah,
appreciate what Gillian
the
said.
thing is,
yeah,
Topaz, I've taken it off the open with list about 100 times, and it.
No. I was changing the CR3 file. So if
Oh.
you do the get info and then change what it opens with, you won't have to use it that often, obviously. Dirty your hands with Canon, but
Let's see what.
Okay, I've finally got them here.
It does have a convert image, but that I think just converts it to a JPEG.
I got both of them into Lightroom. Which
Okay,
one you
great.
wanna look at?
Well, let's do the dark bug on the green leaf first.
Got it open.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
This is yours, Diane?
no.
No.
Whose
They
was
were
this?
just two
This is
pictures I took
Jillian's.
this week. They're just two
Jillian?
pictures
Okay.
I took this
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
And what would you like to do with it?
I just edit them. I'm just curious to see how you go about it.
Okay.
Somebody liked the green leaf one on our naturalist.
Okay. So the bug should be, I guess, the brightest since
Can you
it's
share, Bud?
Yeah. Let's see. Back to Zoom and to share. Desktop. Share the desktop. And Lightroom is here. Have I see that?
Yep. We are there.
So
Oh, that's a brown marmorated stink bug African version.
I was taking a look at it. Let's see.
Oh, that's a great choice of pictures, Gillian. There's a couple of interesting things that I think we could do to brighten that up?
Hang on, I've got to add these, I guess, I'm just going to copy them. I hadn't finished the import yet, so copy, where do I want them to go? And go ahead and talk.
Yeah.
Computer's just
What
gonna
is
work.
your, Diane, I mean, Gillian, what's your overall thought when you look at the picture? What strikes you about it that ideally you would have changed if you could?
This one I was fairly happy with because I thought there was balance in the original composition. These insects never stay still, which make it quite hard sometimes. The moment they see even these shield bugs or stink bugs, as you call them, they quite quickly disappear. And this one was trying to disappear into my tomato plant.
Got it.
So I didn't get its head properly in focus in this particular shot, but I quite liked the way the back shows its detail.
How do you feel about the stem on the right side of the frame?
Well, I tend to crop quite tight because I'm going to put it onto our naturalist, and there they need tight cropping. Otherwise, their AI doesn't recognize whether it's the plant or the
Sure,
insect.
but from a creative standpoint, if you were going to have this framed exactly the way you wanted it, where would you crop and
I would crop inside that stem because
inside the stem?
Because it's full frame and I've got the pixels on the R5. It's not like when you're working crop, you sensor and you get a smaller image.
Sure.
I tend to crop quite dramatically on these pictures because I can.
Okay, no problem. Would you want it any brighter, or are you happy with?
Yes, definitely brighter.
Okay.
I always do -1 or so when I shoot because it's you just get more space.
There's something really, really interesting about the photograph that I think opens up a little bit of risk and a little bit of opportunity, and that's the geometry. You managed to catch this shield bug kind of straddling two almost identical leaves on a stem that could be easily made into the center axis of the photograph, but it could also be a diagonal axis. You could rotate this about 60 degrees right and create a completely different feel for the image. What is your thought going with the natural symmetry, or exaggerating the diagonal, or leaving it where it is? Because I think it's going to change the picture.
Yeah, I'm interested to know how you or Bud would approach it because I tend to keep insects more upright than go. This one was going uphill, so I stayed with the feeling of the moment when I took the photo, but it's quite nicely framed with its antenna on the leaf. So I
Yes,
quite
it
like
really
that.
is. The antennae are following the leaf, and I think that's a really lucky, not lucky. It's a very skillful catch to get it.
It makes the photograph.
Entirely not deliberate.
It really does. Those leaflets are just so symmetrical. It's very attractive. It's something that you resonate with even without knowing what it is about the picture that is appealing, and I like that.
Gillian, could I ask whether you like the color balance? Because it looks quite a cold image to me. Are you happy with that, or?
Well, it's raw, and the Canon RAW does generally come in like this. This hasn't gone through Lightroom, so it didn't get that automatic editing with my Lightroom anyway. It does something to Canon pictures. So it's very much still a raw picture.
Okay. Well,
I tend to always use Bud's technique of the calibration to up the vibrance.
Yeah, I would. I don't mind the coolness of the tomato plant leaves, but I think I would brighten up the oranges and yellows in the bug a little bit.
Yeah, that was the morning light. That probably reflects a bit what it was. The sun hadn't come yet onto the plant, so
good point.
pretty much what the light was.
That looks a little on the pink side, bud. Oh, there you go. Beautiful.
What do you think?
Wow, looks good.
That was impressive. What
That's-
tool did you use to get rid of that twig? I was
The rem-
imagining.
The remove tool, see it up?
Yeah.
You know, I just made my brush bigger and went straight down it, and AI did
My
the rest.
God, that is something compared to oh my goodness.
It really copied the other photo, or the other leaf on the opposite side.
Yeah.
It's got like some, it definitely did that. It used it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
wouldn't be
could,
able to tell. I wouldn't be able to
wasn't-
tell that that's what it did.
No, me neither.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really nice. Bud,
Wow, make it way better.
why don't you try a couple of crops, Bud, and see what we can do with the geometry while we're talking about it.
sounds great. All right, let's get the old crop tool here. Now, first off, we don't need a lot of this at the top, do we?
Mm-mm.
And we could probably do with a little less on the sides. Just bring it in to get the guy focused. You don't want him dead center.
What?
Do you know? The green.
Well, it may be that the geometry becomes an
Yeah, hold
important
on, wait.
compositional element.
It
See
does,
what happens when you rotate the frame, Bud, to get those leaves horizontal and really exaggerate the fact that he's on the midline of that stem.
Something like
Another
that.
alternative would be to
Rotate it.
rotate it to 45 degrees,
Yep.
so it fits a rectangular frame better.
Yep. That's one of the ones I was suggesting, was to go with the more diagonal look, which I like.
Something like
Cropped
that.
in a bit more. And then the other one, Bud, was to rotate it in the other direction until it's perfectly up and down symmetrical, because it's such a cool mirror image of those leaves.
So you're talking about doing it this way.
That's one way, all the way until it's as square as you can get it, and then crop it in a bit tighter.
I'm not following you, Alan.
Yeah, you're doing it exactly right. Just a little bit, tiny bit more rotation to where the leaves are kind of horizontal, like mirroring the angle of the bug. That's about it. Perfect. Yeah. See how the stem is now right on the midline. That's what I was getting at. That's one way
Oh, I
to
see.
do it. That I actually find that appealing, though I might crop it in a bit tighter, half the leaves maybe, and cut out the bottom a bit, so that you were really just seeing the two leaves beginning with the bug. I'm actually thinking Graham's idea is better, the diagonal. What do you think, Graham? Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
Where the leaves are going corner to corner, though I might make it a slightly tighter crop to get. Well, let's ask the artist what she thinks. Gillian, what resonates with you?
I'm just curious to see how it ends up in the discussion. So I don't really have an agenda apart from listening at the moment.
Okay. Bud, would you generatively fill that bottom corner, or would you crop that out by going 16 by 9? I think you've lost your microphone, but I guess that answers the question there.
I'd be very tempted to, as Alan suggested earlier, to go 45 degrees with the leaves and crop in so that the total leaves weren't showing. Although I like the leaves, I think it might improve at the moment, it's too busy. I'm not seeing the insect properly.
Agreed.
So I might brighten up the leaf area and then darken the background a bit just to make it, or even blur the background some more.
Well, let's see. I think that they are definitely going to have to be done, but let's decide on the geometry, and that I think will guide how much we want to brighten the leaves.
Can you hear me, Alan?
Yeah, now we got you.
I don't.
Graham was suggesting that you take the leaves to 45 degrees, the horizontal aspect, turn that to 45 degrees, so you're a little more tilted to the right, and then crop it in so that Graham was saying it's a bit too busy, and I can see that.
Let's get rid of this. Hang on.
Yep.
So something like this.
Yep. Go almost 45-degree angle with the leaves, and then crop it in a fairly tight rectangle so it'll cut some of the leaves off. We want to make the bug just front and center.
If you want in the traditional artistic painting view, you would have the angle going the exact opposite. And so instead of going from, it's called a romantic angle. So this angle here it's making your eye do different things than if you had the angle of the leaves go the other way.
Interesting.
Yes.
So a horizontal flip would fix that.
Well, yeah, if you just moved it so that the leaves are going from the bottom left to the top right. Yeah, that's it.
So it's
Twitch
walking
tilt,
into
something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, that angle is, and then bring it down just a little towards the.
Come in. Somewhere in there?
Yeah, I'd say right about in there. Yeah, you could do that. And you can still bring the upper part up just. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Would you bring the frame in a little tighter on the bug?
You could bring the bug down to the left exactly in that same angle, maybe just like a couple centimeters.
I still think we've got too much going on with stems and leaves to.
Well, you can still, you can crop it in further. I mean,
yeah,
I would get rid of the bottom leaf.
Yep.
Under the bug.
Yep. I would too. I mean, I'd crop tight on this guy because he's so interesting and there's so much detail. You shot this full frame, Gillian?
Yes.
With what do you shoot? Sony?
No, it's a Canon R5.
Canon. Yeah, of course I knew that. Yeah.
So there are enough pixels to crop.
Yeah. Heck, my little D3500 had enough pixels to crop. We got more pixels than we need, I think.
Yeah.
You could even put that hole from the top of the curve of those leaves into a background color.
Say that again.
You could make you got the two little leaves,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could take that one big leaf and just turn that all into background. I was looking to see if I could see the image, and I was going to download it, but it wasn't there. So.
Also, I tend to crop a lot more because I'm fascinated by the insects themselves. And the
You just go right
textures.
to the insect?
I would
keep some of those-
also crop more on this, Gillian, too, because I mean, I think you've got, there's going to be lots of interest in the leaf without having to see the whole leaf, and you'll still get the feel for the angle.
I mean, I quite like the two big leaves with the two small ones underneath, so I'd keep
Yes,
that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. That's exactly what I would keep.
Not the small lower ones, probably the full leaf, but the ones above probably less.
Yep, agreed. What you doing there, bud?
Are you guys fighting? No, they're fighting.
Bud, we don't hear you. Your mic is cut out again. My apologies.
What about now?
Now, loud and clear.
Okay. What I'm attempting to do here is to paint a little bit of darkness into here.
I don't know if you were hearing us, Bud, But I think the consensus is to crop in to lose the bottom leaf and to bring it tight on the two little leaves underneath the bug and make the bug front and center. So that I think will naturally help that background drop away because it'll take the two big leaves at the top and bottom out. I like that, by the way. That's really brightened it up.
Yeah, you can brighten things up by darkening
Yeah.
what's next to it, of course. And basically, if I'm playing with the mask, I can now go back with black and a smaller brush, of course, and I can get rid of all this stuff that bled over.
I actually kind of like that fringe because there was a little bit of a blue fringe on it just from the way the light was hitting it.
I think it looks unnatural now. I think the blue's too much.
Well, I was going to take it to a different, if you go to color balance and you start warming up the picture, let's see, let's warm it up a little bit. And then let's use a black mask so we hide everything. That'd be a Command I. And then we can come in and paint that warmness.
Just want to remind you.
It's big enough that you can see it. And let's just play with it for a second here. If we go back to say a 5% flow and 100% opacity, now we can come in and start to warm things up a bit. And so the blue background will stand apart from the warmth that we can bring into this picture. And because it's warmer, it's going to come forward where the blue tends to recede a bit. And I'm just, well, that's not working because I got a black foreground. Sorry about that. I was wondering what I'm thinking.
Like that crop. The leaf in the lower right corner is way too dark.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
I think we're going to crop that out, actually.
And probably crop it out.
We lost you again, bud. Whatever it is you did in that halfway through that sentence is cutting you off. Still no sound, bud. I wonder if I can unmute you from here.
I think he's having computer problems because he keeps getting a non-responsive app alert.
Bud, we're not hearing you. I don't know if you can hear us.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yep.
I don't know what's going on. It keeps cutting out, so I'll have to figure that out. I'm
Okay.
going to paint with a lesser thing, making this warmer. And you can see that I have a foreground. See how slow my computer's gotten? I'm going to have to get another one.
Yeah,
I'm just curious in terms of process, because I would normally decide on the crop, or most of my decision on the crop would happen before I even get into more into technical editing. So
as would mine, because I think it changes the way I would handle the color and the light, because it would take some of these darker elements out of the picture, literally. But some people will reserve the cropping till the very end. They'll get the picture looking the way they want it, and then crop based on that. But I'm like you, Gillian. I would crop.
But just double my work, because then I start worrying about things I'm not going to have in my.
True. I mean, you start editing things that aren't going to be there. What do you do, Graham? Do you crop first or edit first?
Because I spent half my life taking wildlife pictures, I tend to, I'm able to, well, I say I'm able, I believe I can envisage what the final image is roughly going to look like. So I tend to edit and then crop, and then I might do a minor edit after that, but I can envisage what I'm doing beforehand. And it's fascinating to watch this because this is completely different to what I would do. But everyone's different. I find that fascinating.
Yep. It's different from the way I do it too. What would you do, Graham? How would you go about this?
Well, the first thing I would have done is warm the picture slightly. The second thing I would have done is to gone for a 10 by 8 crop as a as in my head, which means 10 on the horizontal and 8 on the vertical. I'd have turned the leaves to 90 degrees one way or the other. I would have gone the other way, but I'm no artist. I just do what I do, and crop right in. And then I would have probably increased the shadows slightly to lighten the darker parts of that bug very slightly. But anyway, that's
Would these have all have been global changes, Graham, as opposed to targeted or masked?
Yes, I'd have done it all in camera raw.
Yeah,
I'd have done the highlights and the warming in camera raw, taken it out, topazed it, and then rotated and cropped.
I would have rotated and cropped it first. Then I'd have done all of the global edits in Lightroom. And then I would have examined it and decided whether or not there was anything that needed to be removed or, any targeted edits. Then it would have gone to Photoshop before going to Topaz last. That's the way I do all of mine.
Sounds like an interesting contest.
I would always denoise first because you don't want to edit noise.
What was your settings when you shot this?
I'll have to go and look on the
EXIF should be on here somewhere.
Yeah, I can look on my picture. Oh, sorry, I've got a dog here.
Bud, we lost you again.
I think I'd open the crop a little up to the top and to the left to show the bug is moving in one direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the picture.
I pretty much unconsciously do that with any living creature. I put the space in front of it.
Yeah.
I like that crop.
It was f4, 1/60, and my lens is 100 millimeter.
Did you say 1/160?
Yeah, it's the R5, so it works quite well in low light in terms of camera shake, because I can't normally go down that low, but that one worked.
And ISO 100?
Let me find the ISO, actually.
Got you in Lightroom.
If you could lighten the background behind the lower left leg, that would help highlight that leg too.
Good point. Would anybody make some targeted brightness, contrast, and color changes on the bug itself? Because I would definitely brighten up all of those oranges and yellows.
I was going to say the same.
And the face, I would just probably try to get a little highlight right near the tip between the two antennae.
Hey, Alan?
Yeah, we hear you now.
You take this since I keep falling out. I can't.
Well, I'm not sure that it'll be any better on my end. The problem is Zoom plus Lightroom. This is what happens. Let me try it though. Keep going a little longer while I try to get it open, bud.
Well, in here, I announced the ISO, it was 400.
ISO 400, okay. Shouldn't be a lot of noise in there then.
Too much saturation for me now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could reduce the opacity a touch just to make it.
Losing you guys.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I exaggerate it and then I'm going to paint it in at a low volume.
Okay.
So I need to get out of the crop. I'm going to get white paint. I'm going to get a brush. And I'm going in at maybe 11%. And we're going to paint this bug. Mask. And so as we bring this contrast in, we can bring this bug right up.
Mhm.
Would select subject work on this?
Probably. But, you know, I don't overkill if I don't have to, because
Yeah.
we got a little bit of brightness there. We could back off some, but look at the detail that's starting to pop in the shell anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And let's lighten up down in this area. So let's just put a levels on here for the sake of it. When my color wheel stops. It just doesn't like Lightroom, I guess. I can turn off.
Yep, we just lost you.
I've found the original edit. I put an iNet. I've got it in my Photoshop, so I can share screen if.
It's almost a
You get
pretty
to-
good crop right there.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's nearer to what I was thinking.
Mhm. Yeah, the bug is the interest.
There's obviously
I
better ways
cropped
you
a
can
lot
do it.
tighter than that.
I'm very interested to have seen. Now I've got it open in Lightroom and I'm doing the global edits in Lightroom, and I'm discovered that underneath those two teardrops of yellow are some dark red panels, which I didn't see before. Really nice looking.
The antennae are coming out nice.
Yeah, they're coming off the screen.
Also, if you look at the picture when you crop a bit tighter, those two hind legs are actually supporting it on the leaf. You get a feeling of
Yep.
movement.
Absolutely.
I'm interested to all see what Alan's up to there.
Yeah, I'm actually doing something different with it that I rather like.
Well, the whites are purer.
Yeah, I like this.
The background behind that leg could go a little lighter.
That yellow color is slightly off with my eyes. The camera and I don't always see the same colors. That looks slightly more orange.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. I was going to take the paintbrush. You know, you can pick up a color by holding down the option key. So if I want some of this yellow color, I could say pick it up. And now well, I've got to be on a color picture first. Let's try one more time. Option key, pick up some yellow. Oop.
You're going to brush it.
And you can see that it's now my foreground color. If we take this and take it up to maybe a 50% almost, and we come in, we can come in here and we can paint this guy in, get rid of some of that.
Cool.
And then we can clean it up with the eraser. But since I'm doing one brush stroke, remember my trick?
Yep.
Under the edit, it's going to be Shift Command on the Mac with F for fade.
That flatten it too much?
Yep. That's good.
I did not take the image into Photoshop at all.
Yep.
And I want to show you what I came up with in the last couple of seconds here.
Okay.
This was kind of the way this is the way I would have done it if I was trying to get it ready for a live stream, and I'd just taken a picture. I wouldn't waste any time on it. And that's the crop and everything I'd have done just basically in Lightroom. I can't seem to get it. There you go.
I prefer that myself. If anything, I would have given it a very slight radial darken.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I was thinking that's one thing I would go and do in
Vignette.
doing yeah, a vignette, or just like Graham says, just
I tend to use radial gradient and then just
invert it.
Invert and then adjust the exposure.
Yep, that is yeah, very subtle. Yeah, I think that's what I'd have done, because it's quick and it hit everything I wanted. It changed the geometry, brightened the colors, darkened the leaves, and let them blur out a bit, and brings the focus on those two antennae, which I think are the picture, the way they follow the leaf, and the 2 feet in the background. I might try to do something to brighten that area up there. Maybe take another mask and just brush in a little light. But yeah, nothing really obvious.
I noticed when I did it, because I was just wanting to get the ID down to species, I actually didn't. I can share my final picture if you want me to, because I've got a whole lot
I'd
of
very
sort
much
of
like to see what you came up with.
highlights. Open Photoshop here. Let me go back here. Share screen. Where do I share screen? I don't have a share screen on my screen.
If you press the zoom button again, it'll pop up on the screen under our pictures. If you hover at the bottom of your zoom window, the tools will show up.
At the bottom, I can see the participants and all of that.
Below that,
I'm in full screen. Let me just go out of full screen. Normally, there's a big thing here that says share screen.
Or next to participants, there should be a green up arrow.
Oh, here, found it. Okay, and I want to share Photoshop. God, what's happening here? Sorry, let me try that again. Entire screen. There's your screen sharing, but it's not a big picture. Oh,
Yeah,
really
click on the on your Photoshop at the corner there on your left side of the screen. You should be able, yeah. Yeah,
you did the first thing that that we talked about, of going with the vertical. I like that.
And my reasoning for that is because I'm putting it onto a site that's going to use AI for identification. But I quite liked afterwards the legs, but I don't like the shiny stuff that, and I can see now from what you guys are doing, you are managing to not get that.
Yeah, you bring the highlights down.
I don't agree. I like that, because it's a shiny bug.
It is actually.
You don't have any lost detail. You just honestly reproduced a shiny bug in the sun, in the early morning sunshine. I like it. I don't think we need to suppress you know, the highlights on the bug too aggressively. And you've nailed it. I think it looks great.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And you know, I prefer those antennae
Going that way?
creating this symmetry. I really do.
Nice.
Great. Anyhow, that's what I ended up with. So I found the discussion quite interesting, because it has highlighted some things that I don't normally sort of look at their geometry to start with. And since I'm starting out photographing trees, I'm having to switch my brain into looking at geometry. So it's very, very helpful.
I love that. I think your edit is so far the one I would go with, to be honest. Graham, what did you think about that straight up and down look? I was surprised by how good that looked.
I liked it very much. It might not have been my choice, but I find it equally as good as just as good. I like it. Yeah,
It's something
My
that showed up
takeaway
more
was
in your.
the
Sorry.
edit is to the audience. And Jillian was editing to the audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I might
Jillian, for
have pulled
some,
the highlights down a little bit more, though. I agree with Alan about seeing it, but you just pulling the highlights down in RAW, in Camera Raw or whatever you use, slightly. I think that might have helped reduce the reflections a little.
but you know what showed up in Jillian's picture that didn't show up in either of ours was the blue highlights next to the orange spots at the back. I couldn't see those even on my picture, and I'm looking at them now, but in hers, I think because of I don't know if it was because of the angle or because the highlights were a little bit brighter, those blues pop right out. It's a very colorful bug.
I also tend to not try and change the insect at all, because all the insect specialists would know immediately you sort of try to manufacture something that wasn't in nature.
Agreed. I'm not that disciplined, but I agree.
Yeah.
I should be.
Nice capture, Jillian.
Sorry?
I said nice capture.
Really nice.
Thank
Great
you.
picture.
So they came as babies and they've grown a bit, and I'm sharing the plants with them.
Very nice.
But thanks everybody for the feedback. Appreciate it.
Bud, are you did you figure out what's going on with your machine there? Nope, still no sound. Does it? No. I think the ghost in the machine has got Bud this week. Well, while Bud's getting that sorted out, let me see if I imported the other picture too. I don't think I did.
My one, I've just deleted it because I thought you'd done one of mine and Susan had one there. And then I went now and I saw she hasn't got one. So I'm just putting the drive link that I used for her. So Susan, my drive link I used.
Well, I already downloaded it, so it should still be in here.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, well, I'll open this. I'll import this from my downloads while Bud's getting his
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
There you go. You did it. You did it again.
Knows, though.
Keep wiggling that wire.
That's what it is. It's got to be a bad wire or something. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Now we've got you loud and clear.
Well, you should probably do it on your
I
end
don't know
since-
if you heard, Bud, but we were discussing Jillian's photograph, which I think got the vote of.
It was very nice. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
I can hear you fine. My microphone is doing funny things.
Understood. I do not, for some reason, that picture, even though I downloaded it, it's not in my downloads, Jillian.
Susan or my one? Oh, because I can. Susan, I put a link in the chat. If you use that, you should be able to upload yours.
Okay.
Fine.
Are you on two devices? Because we have two pictures of you, Susan. For me, anyway.
No, in Google Drive, it's gone.
There's two, Susan.
I deleted my second picture, Ellen, because
Oh,
you
okay.
had
Okay.
you had already covered one, and I thought Susan had one there.
Oh, okay. Did you have one, Susan?
Otherwise, I can find it and put it.
We've only got about 10 minutes left.
Can you hear me, Alan?
Yes, got you now.
I have mine in Lightroom for as long as I can talk. Just tell me when the thing's.
Oh, go ahead and open it up, and you've got the share.
Let's see here. I got to get to Zoom.
You know what I
Go
find
and
fascinating is that
share and
throughout that conversation of all the different ideas that were put forward, we end up with 3 photographs that are mostly the same as far as we end up at the same spot. Now,
Can you
this
see
is going to be a more challenging edit.
So who votes for horizontal? Bug.
Yeah.
Diagonal.
Diagonal bug. All right.
You get
So
that angle behind
Bearing
the
in
bug.
mind this plant is vertical.
Is that would that be something that everybody would know when they saw this in South Africa? That's
No, well, it's actually it's a delicious monster. It's a South American plant that's pollinated by moths.
delicious monster.
Yeah, that's an indoor plant all over the world.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
they
have to
have
look that up.
upright, and I've got one that's got it's a whole story about how they flower and people who, I've got a plant in my garden that's actually flowering at the moment. Enormous
My God,
large
it's
flowers.
a plant. It really is. Araceae.
But it's South American, it's not African.
Oh, okay.
There's no pollinator here. I think this is
It
just a bit
is.
of a pollen thief, or these are sap-sucking.
It's not at all
beetles.
attractive on its skin. It looks like it's made of hexagonal green marshmallows.
Yes,
But
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Monstera
actually
deliciosa.
A very opportunist. And it's also a stink bug or shield bug.
Is that edible, by the way, that plant?
Don't know. It's been in my garden for 20 years and I just noticed it flowering. I think it flowers every year.
Wow. I'm agreeing with that that crop, though. It would be nice to
Yeah,
get
nice.
a little tighter on the
that is that something what you were looking for?
That's what I was thinking of, yeah. Is that believable as far as the angle of the plant, do you think, Gillian?
Well, not really, but we can be a bit creative. Nothing else is
True.
Would it be better to have a portrait, in other words, taller image, keep it vertical, and then extend the amount of space in front of the insect, even if you have to do it with AI?
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's these flowers are all vertical, but I think from a creative point of view, this kind of change is not going on to our naturalist.
Yeah, if I'm going to expand the crop, I have to do it in Photoshop. I'm not very good at doing it in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's actually a good starting place.
That's good. Go with that, bud.
Let's work on the exposure and color from there.
Yeah.
All right. So what would you like? Brighter?
Questions I would ask would be what are we going to do with the antennae? What are we going to do to change the emphasis from the plant to the bug?
Everything looks flat right now.
It does.
Probably needs a bit
Darken the
of
bug.
denoising.
Oh, darken the plant.
Everything.
Well,
So should we take it into Photoshop, or does somebody have some Lightroom suggestions they'd like to share?
Well,
I think what I did with this is I actually went into Lightroom masking and selected subject and then selected the inverse, if I remember correctly.
I'm a big one for doing as much as I can in Lightroom right at the up front. Just knock out all the global stuff that I know that ultimately is going to need to be done, the brightening, the darkening, color, and then and then save Photoshop for things that need to be more aggressively fixed, like maybe artificially sharpening those antennas or the closest antenna.
Yes,
It's
now that
already
I'd be
looking
interested
better
in.
though.
like to know how you do the artificial sharpening, because to me that's sort of out of focus and not
It
fixable.
is, so it would be, well, it's, no, not without cheating, but yeah, I would cheat.
Yeah,
I'm not sure my cheating skills are well developed.
Sometimes Topaz photo can sometimes bring that into focus, but sometimes you get wonky results.
I would I'd go in and I'd change the detail, not the detail, under the basic the what's the one down below above D haze in the basic panel?
Clarity.
Clarity. Well done. Yeah, I would add clarity, and that would somewhat define the antennae a little better. I'd boost the shadows and I'd boost the drop the blacks to blacken the spots on the bug. I like what Bud's doing here, putting a mask over the plant. Probably
another thing that could happen
desaturated.
is, sorry.
No, you're good.
Another thing that might be good is, again, a radial blur stretched out to an oval and increase the texture ever so slightly on the bug.
Texture, yeah. Because that will bring out those spots, I think, as will the clarity slider. Okay, that drops the plant back into background, which I like. But we got to do something to make that bug jump. Because there's color on his back. I mean, there's red down the stripe down his edge of his carapace there, and he's got orange bumps on his back.
He's also got, if I look at my edit, he's got little speckly things on his tummy.
Yeah,
There's a bit
which
of
are
pollen.
red, it looks like.
He's
Dark
He's
red.
also got bits of pollen, I think, on his legs and his.
Oh, I see. Yes, the granular
Yes.
stuff. I
Yeah.
see that now.
Actually, my edit of the insect worked out quite well in the end, I think.
Well, it's looking a lot better as Bud goes here, and I'm a big fan of the radial filter and the linear filter in in Lightroom. It's frequently saves me from having to go to Photoshop at all. Would you stretch it out more than that, Graham?
Sorry, yes, I agree with you about the radial filter and the texture. I do like it. I still think that I'd have have it slightly nearer the lower left-hand corner to give a little more space at the top. Just because that it just feels right. It feels like it's a little bit too far up, but I actually quite like it.
I'm very interested to see what you did with this, Gillian, because I think there's a lot of opportunity there in the subtle markings on the bug to really make it come alive.
And they're quite important when you want to get them ID'd properly.
Yep, agreed.
I'd also be tempted to go the other way instead of vignetting, to actually lighten the edges slightly, because I don't like the top left-hand corner. It's attracting my attention away from the bug.
Now, when you bring the bug up to this level, like Bud is doing now, you start picking up its detail better. That radial mask should actually be a bit bigger, even to get under the abdomen.
I agree. Stretch it out longitudinally a bit, Bud, so that it gets head and there you go.
Did you guys notice that you can zoom in and zoom out on the shared screen?
I did not.
I thought you might like that.
Indeed,
So
I do.
I can see, I mean, I've blown it up. I'm at 83% blown, and then I can go back down to seeing everything in Bud screen to just going into the details.
How are you doing it?
Well, for some odd reason, so I have there's an annotate button, but if I just click on the screen, it pops up on the, like right under Bud's tools menu.
Yeah, the little
I can-
3 dots on where it says Bud Pro screen, the little 3 dots in the corner, if you click that, you get a drop down for the
Yeah.
zoom in.
I can follow the presenter's,
Yeah.
wherever he is, I see it.
Can't hear you.
We lost Bud again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's looking a lot better, definitely. Was more of that color is coming out. I would probably cheat a little, and I'd go to the hue saturation luminance panel, and I would add saturation to the reds and browns, and add luminance to the reds as well to really bring those red dots.
I actually used Bud's calibration tips to get the vibrance into this one, because then I could bring out those light greens quite nicely and the reds in the bug. I thought those were very helpful tips he told us about.
I find those sliders just a little bit disconcerting because of the fact that they change all the colors. I know that the different sliders protect some of the parts of the spectrum, but that change is a bit too global for my taste.
Depends on the photo, because in this one I could use it because the greens are only in the actual plant.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. I mean, there are. I'm always concerned that bugs, when you look closely, they've got a lot of colors that they're picking up from the plant.
Yes.
This one's got some green in it, and I wouldn't want to do anything to overly change what isn't that, add what isn't there. I just want to see those red dots sparkle a little.
In the instance of this plant as well, in the bug, the nectar spots had the same colors as the bug, which is why I think the calibration worked okay just in this instance. But I fully agree with you. It is problematic in certain circumstances.
But if you can hear me, can you go in to the HSL panel and just select the reds and the purples at the bottom, and just add some saturation and luminance to the reds?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Are you in Lightroom? You're talking about Photoshop.
The Lightroom color mixer.
Color mixer.
Go to the mixer at the top left. There you go, and go to saturation. Bump the magenta and the red up, and then luminance and and then luminance, and bump them up too.
Also, if I could just say, in my opinion, the radial gradient that was put over the bug is too wide, and it's too bright behind the bug now. It should have been narrowed nice and thin, so that the bug was lit up a bit more and the background stayed a bit darker. But that's again my preference. Yeah, and the bottom underneath it really is the key. Yeah, more like that I think, because to me then otherwise the bug's getting lost.
It hasn't been found yet. But that's where I think the Lightroom subject, I use select object a lot with these kind of insects. And then I sometimes paint in the bits that are missing, because then I can actually just do the insect I do a bit of a global edit and then I hone in on the inside, and I'll show you my edit in a moment.
I would also take the in the mask section, I'd take a brush and I would just brush light onto the right eye and the abdomen underneath the rear appendage, just to lighten up the eye to probably, yeah. Well, yes, I know you're gonna probably mask that little and add it back piecemeal, but yeah, just to make the eye pop just a little.
Let's see. I'm not sure how to control. Oh, flow. Here we go. Is that doing it?
Yeah, that's it. That's subtle, but makes a difference. It lifts the eye away from the dark ridge at the front of the head. It looks good. That looks real good. I do the same
But can you,
abdomen.
but can you just try and lift the shadows
Lift
in
the
the
shadow.
whole picture?
I should be able to. Let me go back to basics.
I think the whole image could be lightened slightly. Now
Yes.
you've brought everything down, looking at that
Yes.
histogram.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might need to just have a little bit of highlights and a little bit of white to bring it. Yeah, that's typically what I generally do. And then I do some clarity.
Is it like a normal procedure for like a bug like this, when you have like a
Yes.
light background, to just, like a 1 or 2 point draw in a little bit more of the legs?
Well, it's difficult. They're all different.
Yeah.
Or just try and put make it have a shadow or just a little bit more?
So I would very seldom be able to get a picture of this bug was in the plant. That background is the cover around the flower. And a very unusual picture. Mostly I've got this horrible African sunlight, and it's just a very different space, which is why I usually go out in the mornings to try and take photos before there's any sun.
Yeah.
But this is late evening.
That's looking a lot better. I
Lot
think
better.
I think I would desaturate the background a little so that it looks a little less like the bug. I'd probably use the background mask and just pull the saturation back out of the greeny yellow upper part of the background and just make it look a little more neutral so the bug would pop a bit. But I think that's looking a lot better. Very it's looking like one of those old postcards now.
That makes the
How are we doing on?
Very subtle, but just a hair less than it was to start with. But that really does bring the bug out a lot.
Would you like me to show my
Yes,
final picture?
absolutely.
All yours.
wait.
Nice, bud.
Okay, let me
That
try and I
was
see.
I kind of like
Okay.
having the discussion while the edit's being done. I think it
I don't know, can you see that?
Oh,
very nice.
yeah.
I would echo what Graham said earlier. I would trade the emphasis right to left, lose some of the green plant, add some of the empty space above the bug. But I love what you've done with the color. You've done exactly what I wanted to see with those red hues there. Lovely.
Yeah, so that anyhow, but you have cut some of this off and had more white space.
I would have done, yeah. You're kind of fighting against a rather interesting green foreground there that is threatening to hijack the picture. So I would want
And
less.
I must admit, my eye, because I know this plant does this, feels a lot more comfortable with the plant the right way up.
And that's, yeah, that's you're the photographer. That's
Yeah.
why you took the picture the way you did. I
Yeah.
respect that. What do you think, Alan? What was your thought on the angle versus upright preference? No preference. Cool. Nick, you good with that?
Yes. Learned a lot, thanks, Alan. Actually, that's more what I was keeping quiet for, because I was learning quite a bit. Thank
No
you.
problem. No problem. I was just making sure that we hit everything. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up?
I just wanted to give Bill Mayer a compliment because I think that tree behind him is beautiful. I don't know if he took the photo himself.
Wilf, is that your picture?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. West coast of British Columbia.
It is gorgeous. I love that part of the country.
Well, I just want to say thank you too. I also learned a lot.
Yeah.
Good. Good. I did too. I always do. This is I think if I take anything away from today is that we should never underrate the power of Lightroom for quick global changes that can sometimes obviate a lot of the complicated stuff that pictures don't necessarily need, which is completely diametrically the opposite of what Bud would say. So that's good.
You can take, you can take Lightroom into Photoshop by taking it in as a smart object. And then all you got to do is double click on it and you've got Camera Raw, which is the same thing. So, you can approach it both ways. I tend to do that a lot because I'm comfortable in Camera Raw. So I'll just take it in as a smart object and open it there. And I've got all my tools.
The reason I rely so heavily on Lightroom to do the majority of my editing is because I will frequently take 10 pictures of a subject from different angles, different positions, but it'll be the same lighting, it's be the same bug, and I can then select them as a group, and I can do most of the edits together in Lightroom and end up choosing my picture from edited outputs rather than having to take them one at a time into Photoshop. It's just quicker.
You can do that also in Camera Raw. You could have 10 or 20 pictures in Camera Raw and do the globals and such. I tend to only use Lightroom to catalog.
boys were our friends. They built Legos with us, and we were not much different from them. They had shorter hair,
I
maybe
do
a little
almost
more
everything
aggressive, but I
in
beat them all in
Camera
arm
Raw.
wrestle, so I thought I was just like them.
And
And
then,
elementary school boys had cooties. We played a game of truth or dare under the slide and
Michael
played best on
Buse
who would tell the
needs to
weird
be
kid they liked them.
silenced.
Boys were messy.
Somebody
and
have
loud.
a
Myself,
microphone.
so I thought I was bad at
Michael
being
Buse.
I played football with the boys at recess.
Michael, could you mute?
Not nice to me, and I learned that there are bad women in middle school.
Thanks.
Yes, but I like I'll do the raw and then I just use Lightroom solely to catalog anymore because it's just too cumbersome to be able for me to do the editing, but I do all the same basic things in Raw that you would do in Lightroom because it is, like Bud says, it's the same process. But the other thing on Camera Raw has that Lightroom doesn't have, and it's something I've been playing with a little bit, is remove reflections tool.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
And I've been playing around with that for trying to get rid of some specular highlights, but you have to have a raw image, and it does work a little bit to remove specular highlights. So
I am going to finish up if Bud's okay with this, with showing you the gadget that I got. If I can get this camera to work, and then this will take exactly 2 minutes. If the camera works, let me see.
Well, I'm going to put a little question out to Bud. I haven't been able to find the February 22nd AfterStack.
No, you have not. That's not Bud's thing. That's mine. Oversight will be correct.
Is there, I mean, why doesn't YouTube let you search it for, even for other ones that I've wanted to look up again?
Because it's not on YouTube. I have to take the Zoom recording and I have to upload it as a video onto YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes when I get behind, that slips
the
my
lag.
memory. I'll fix that. It was for the March, January, February the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I will fix that.
Okay. What do you have?
I want to show you two things. My jar of sodium acetate, birefringent crystals. If anybody wants some, I got far too much. I thought I was getting a little bottle and I've got a pound of it. It makes the greatest birefringent crystals. What I wanted to show you was this that I got from AliExpress. I wanted a circle cutter that could cut polarizing film, and I got this on a whim, thinking it would never work. And it doesn't have a point on the bottom. It has a pad that's sticky, and you can put this down on your polarizing film and it cuts absolutely perfect circles, which if you're making polarizing platforms like I do, you need perfect circles of diffuser and polarizer. This thing cost, I believe, $7, and it's got a razor blade in it, and it makes perfect circles in polarizing film. I have been trying everything to figure out how to do that. Nothing worked until I got this little thing.
What's the smallest circle it can cut?
It can cut from, told me on, well, here's the guide. It's from 20 millimeters up to 170.
I'm getting one.
Yeah, I got
I
one.
got this thing. It arrived. I started cutting circles and things. I cut my bank statement into circles, and all my tracing paper. Everything is in circles now because I couldn't stop using it.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, I got.
So that's
that does something similar. It goes from 1 inch up to 8 inch circles. Same idea.
Where did you get yours from?
I got it at Michael's.
Ah,
but it's a Fiskars brand, so it's the same idea.
But it has a spike at the bottom. That's why I didn't get it.
Yeah,
they all have spikes at the bottom, but this thing
has the footy, the rubber footy on it.
Oh, it does.
Spike.
All right. Well, I'm not excited anymore then. If you can buy it at Michael's, it's called an NT circle cutter.
NT circle.
NT circle cutter. AliExpress.
Yeah.
So
and it arrived within a week of ordering it from China, which is amazing.
They probably have a storehouse here. That's why now.
They probably do. But if you ever need anything circular, like all of the filters in this thing, oh, you can't see it because I turned my camera off. Sorry. All of the filters in this thing, that's what this is for, and it works perfectly. It just using scissors, it took me half an hour to cut all the discs out. Using that, it takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, because I was cutting a filter for my LED lights to polarize them, so I was using my little Fiskars to make 1 inch circle polarizer film. And
well, I bet your Fiskars doesn't come with 6 free razor blades like my thing does.
It came with 3 free razor blades.
Little secret compartment full of razor blades right there. Get one for everybody for Christmas.
Well, the more expensive one is the Cricut cutter. You can make any shape you want.
Right.
You just program it and walk away, and it cuts them for you.
Yeah,
you can get squiggles and.
This is more viscerally satisfying, and it makes perfect little circles.
Okay. Oh wow!
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. That was a lot of fun. I learned an awful lot. Thank you, Bud, for your expertise and your patience. And,
broken microphone.
yeah, and you need to speak to your electrons about their
do.
behavior.
I'm going to search it down.
All right.
Yep, get a
great.
new wire.
All righty. Just a quick mention to remind you, I do have a live stream on Tuesday, but then I'm gone for Thursday, gone for Presume next weekend, and gone for Tuesday's live stream, and then back to normal on the 2nd of April. Just saying, I'm going to Florida to give a couple of talks.
I want to thank both of you guys. The amount of information that you guys give to us every week is just phenomenal. And thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It really, it helps every single time.
Alan, are you
Thank
going
you
to
so
do
much.
another Presume? You mentioned you might do one. Are you going to add one in?
I will definitely make up in any way that you guys want to, whether it's getting together the week I get back, or doing a Presume that following weekend. I'm fine doing that as well. If anybody has a preference, please let me know what it is you want to do, and I will get it scheduled. I mean, I can do anything you want. It's just when I'm gone, I'm gonna actually be traveling that day. No, I'm actually giving the talk during the Presume time next week. So I don't want to short you of time, and yeah, we can always find stuff to talk about. So what I might do, seeing as I don't really have time before we go, as soon as I get back, we'll set up a time. I'll let everybody know, and we'll just have a hangout.
Have a safe journey, Alan.
Thank you.
Yeah, safe
Appreciate it.
journey.
I'm going
And
to try
good
to
luck for your
record the talk.
presentations.
Thank you.
Hope your talks go well.
I hope so too. I think they will. It's stuff I love. So
Are they recording it?
yes, I think they are, and I'll get those. And if I can't get them onto YouTube, I will bring them and put them in Patreon. So at least if you want to watch it, you can.
Thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a great week. I'll
Travel
see you
safe.
when I get back.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Thank you,
Bye
bud.
bye.
Everybody.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.